And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside Los
Angeles. I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. Phone number is 888-659-3727. Great to be here. Tuesday night, a little hair loss show. Again, you know, for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, you don't know who I am or why I'm here. I'm a consumer advocate for men and women dealing with hair loss. I am the author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss. I'm the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, yada, 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 yada. That's what I do. That's who I am. This is a hair loss show. And, you know, I'm joking around a little bit as far as, you know, appearing bored by what I do, because the truth of the matter is I've been doing this for 14 years. And I love what I do. I love the fact that I come here each and every week to guide you guys in a safe direction, to talk about a subject that society doesn't allow us to talk about, to interact with people who are dealing with the same shit that I'm dealing with. You know, I talk about my career. I did another interview today, earlier today, with another magazine. And you know, the reporter was asking me, or the journalist was asking about the longevity of this broadcast. And this is why this is on my mind. And she asked me, you know, how is it possible for you to continue to do this for so long? Doesn't it get old? Doesn't it get stale? Aren't you bored talking about the same stuff for 14 years? How much can you talk about when it comes to hair loss? That's not an atypical question, you know. I mean, I hear that all the time. But it's not the same shit, because we're talking to new people. New people are finding this broadcast every single week. They're finding us every day on iTunes and on Microsoft Marketplace, and you know, through iTunes Radio and Stitcher Radio, and through thebaldtruth.com and gfqlive.tv and gfq or guysfromqueens.com. New people who need this advice, new people who are just realizing for the first time that they're losing their hair. And they had no clue where to turn. So even if I'm repeating myself every week, even if I am answering some of the same questions, there are thousands of people who are just tuning in for the very first time that need this advice. So to me, it doesn't get old. And as long as there are guys out there and ladies out there that want this broadcast, this is what I told this person: I'm going to continue to do it. Now, I know that, you know, you guys have heard me rant a little bit about wanting to retire or, you know, move on, tired of dealing with some of the bullshit that I have to deal with in this industry, even from some of the guys that are not in the industry but are just, you know, users on message forums and stuff like that. You know, that's just me venting. The truth is, I think this is a very important platform that is changing lives. And I made this very clear. And one of the reasons it's so important is because there's so much misinformation out there. There's so many people being harmed every single day. You know, and sadly, I even see misinformation on my very own message forum, baldtruthtalk.com. You know, you kind of walk a very thin line when you're in the position that I'm in, trying to safely guide people, safely navigate people through this crazy industry, and quelling free speech when you own and run a message forum. Because I see the bullshit that's being written on some of the days on this forum, you know, and obviously on all the other forums. But sometimes you just have to let things play out. I can certainly go on there and state my opinion about, you know, some of these cutting edge technologies, some of the shit that's being written about today. I took the time to read the forum today. I can go on there and state my educated opinion and also provide some insight. However, there will be those who believe that I am somehow just trying to not allow this information to be out there. I'm somehow trying to stifle it for whatever crazy reason they think that I might have. So I'm kind of in a unique position, an uncomfortable position, because I want my users and my readers to really get completely accurate information. I don't want them to be misled in any way. However, there are some guys out there that, you know, really think they know it all in the message forums, and sadly, they might be misleading some people unintentionally. I'm not saying they're doing it intentionally, but providing bullshit information. I think about the phone number 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. People are asking about Joe from Staten Island. I don't see Joe on the line, to tell you the truth. Usually he's a guy that calls in very early on. So I don't know. I really don't know what's going on with Joe. I hope that he is okay. I'm certainly going to give him a call to see, or contact him, you know, through email to see if he's doing okay. But in the interim, if you guys have any questions, concerns about your hair loss, or you just need to vent, this is your safe place. If you're a woman dealing with a hair loss, we are here to help you as well. You know, 2/3 of men by the age of 35 suffer with some degree of hair loss. 40% of hair loss sufferers are women. And I say this all the time. Andrew Zarian says, I love this line, but this is a silent epidemic of biblical proportions that affects just about every household in the world. It's an issue, like I said at the top of the show, that society doesn't really allow us to talk about. And because of that, hair loss sufferers are really taken advantage of. Because of that, there are guys out there that can claim they're doing, you know, hair stem cell multiplication, who could put up a shingle and say just about anything that's going to pander to the needs of the vulnerable hair loss sufferers out there. And they're going to be able to fill their waiting rooms. It's happening today. It's happening all over the world. And we see people talking about this crap on the online message forums. Because we're so desperate, we will buy anything, subscribe anything, try anything just for hope. And I'm guilty of that myself. You know, if you're just tuning in, you've never seen me before, if you're actually viewing us on one of our, you know, the many online resources that play the live video of this broadcast, I started to lose my hair at the age of 21. I've been dealing with hair loss for most of my adult life, and it's not been easy for me. But I still have hair in my head. Now, there are a couple of guys out there that may make fun of the way that I have to wear my hair. Well, fuck you. It's the way that it is. That's what I have to deal with. I've been called the Harry Houdini of the comb-over. I called this style Trump the early years. But you know what? I'm 47 years old. I started to lose my hair at 21, and because I made the right moves, I believe that I was lucky enough to save most of my hair. It's not ideal. It's not perfect. There's a ton of hairspray. I wear makeup on the back. I've tried, small hair pieces to try to cover the crown area. It's not a perfect solution, what I've done for myself. But I will tell you that because I've done my research, because I did my due diligence, I was able to avoid the multiple scams and crazy pitfalls that this industry is notorious for. I don't care if it's almost 2013. Most everything you see online is complete bullshit. If there's a doctor making claims that are not consistent with conventional wisdom and real science, why the fuck would you believe this? Andrew, I'm in the middle of a rant here, and I don't even know what you're saying. How did I mess up an account? Why would you believe that stuff? I don't even understand it. I got some really interesting emails today. And 3 of these emails were forwarded to me from my main moderator of baldtruthtalk.com. There's an interesting thread, a couple of threads, about a guy in India who is claiming to do hair stem cell multiplication. Says that he's the first clinic out there that is performing this. He's charging the public, and he's doing it. It's done. He is able to perform this, according to him. And apparently there was a discussion going on in the message forum. This doctor tried to sign up for our message forum, Bald Truth Talk, and couldn't get in. Now, I think it's important that all you guys know, and anyone who knows about the message forum that has tried to get in the last year, knows that everyone who tries to enter, signs up, goes into a moderation queue. And because we have so many thousands of people that attempt to sign up on a monthly basis, sometimes that moderation queue gets backed up. And the reason we have to put people into a moderation queue is because the entire fucking industry is trying to spam the site. So instead of allowing this crap to go on and just keeping the forum completely open for people, we've decided to develop an approval process. That approval process really has worked beautifully, actually, as far as keeping spam out and keeping some of the charlatans out and keeping the guys that are just out there trying to promote their wares on Bald Truth Talk out. This doctor attempted to come in and was hyper concerned, obviously, today because the letters that Winston sent me with the emails were, I couldn't believe that this was coming from a doctor. The conspiracy theories that these guys have is just unbelievable. Like we're somehow trying to keep him out. So, Doc, I just want to let you know, if you're watching this broadcast in India, that we are not trying to keep you out of our message forum so that you can respond to some of the criticism or naysayers or positive things about your hair multiplication process. We just haven't vetted you yet. So I want you to relax. This guy's writing that, we're concerned about the competition and that he's posting on other sites, and maybe because he's so vocal on other sites that he doesn't want, we don't want to allow him to be vocal on our site. How does that make any sense? We benefit from the traffic just like the other sites. We want this information out there. If you are providing hair multiplication in some way, we want to know about it. I want to talk to you. Triple 8-659-3727. I have to take a quick break. When we come back, we will be taking your phone calls, answering your questions, and talking more about hair loss. If you have any questions, concerns, if you just need to vent, this is your safe place. If you want to talk about any of the cutting-edge treatments that are being talked about on baldtruthtalk.com. Feel free. Give us a call. I don't mind giving my opinion about things on the air. I'm not going to go out there and battle it out on the message forums and interfere with that flow of information. It's just not my thing. 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. You're listening to and watching The Bald Truth. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Any of you that have ever felt stepped on, left out, picked on, put down, whether you think you're a nerd or not, why don't you just come down here and join us, okay? Come on.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm playing this tune for Joe. Hopefully, he's somewhere watching or listening to the broadcast in Staten Island and let him know that we're thinking about him. But he is not. He has not called in yet, so I'm going to take another phone call. I am a little worried, though. A little worried because Joe likes to call in top of the hour, give the Joe from Staten Island news or update, and he's not here. So that always concerns me. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Spencer. It's Andrew.
Andrew, what's happening, man? Where the fuck is Joe? I'm worried about Joe.
I don't know. People it's getting crazy. People are thinking he's dead.
No,
Someone claims that you just announced that he died.
Nobody said that. Really?
No, I'm looking at the chat room.
Oh, yep, Spencer announced it.
Expert says, yep, Spencer announced.
Well, no,
died.
Joe. I did not announce that Joe from Staten Island is dead. God forbid. Joe has a little, and I hope we had this deal with his wife, Phyllis, that if something did happen to Joe, that Phyllis would call the show, and that hasn't happened. So maybe he's got a bad.
Phyllis is not going. There's no way she's going to call and tell you.
Why do you say that? How do you know that's true? Well, what happened there?
Joe said it many times that Phyllis hates you and he hates the whole hair loss thing.
See, there's Joe right next to me. See that? That's a little accident. No, I know. She does, but I think that she would at least respect Joe's wishes, his dying wishes, and call and show.
That's my dying wish, for Jessica to call the Bald Truth and announce my death.
No, it's not.
It is. It's one of my wishes in my will. You have to make sure that the online community knows what's happening, and I've told her in my will that I want her to go on the air for a week and talk about me and how great I was.
She's not going to do that.
No way.
No, she's gonna be like, oh my God, thank God I don't have to stick around for another year.
Thank God.
It's over. It's over. Oh, poor Jess. So, dude, what's happening?
So I don't know. Maybe he's gone. I don't know what's going on with him.
No,
Joe is gone.
I think he'll call, and I hope that he calls in. So tell me what's going on. I know that we were talking a little bit about your hair the other day, and you're still like you're kind of coming in and out of the panic. As far as
it depends on what day it is and how my hair was styled that day and how I look in the mirror and on the camera. I mean, I had as you know, I mean, we upgraded the cameras here at the studio, and I had like a whole meltdown when I saw myself in like super high def.
I remember that, dude, and I was really bummed because it was a nice thing. You got a new camera, and I was happy for you, and you were miserable. This was on a Saturday, I think. You kept me online looking at your fucking hair for like 2 hours.
Well, it's kind of tough, but I realized that, my hairline's not what it was when I was 18, and I got to, like, rig it up a little bit, I got to style it in a way that it looks kind of fuller.
How do you feel about that now? We talked about it initially.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah, but initially you were very bummed, but you seem like you've kind of come to grips with it, right?
Yeah, kind of, sort of, like I always have that thing where like, well, I could go and get a transplant and bring my hairline, closer next, if it gets worse.
You can't do that. I tell you can't do that. You'll destroy your life, dude. For those who are just tuning in, don't understand why Andrew can't get a transplant just to kind of like reinforce his hairline. If you have a lot of hair, the last thing you want to do is get a transplant and to try to shore up that hairline. If you are in a position like Andrew, you can end up dealing with something called shock fallout or telogen effluvium that's caused by the actual surgery itself. Not really talked a lot about in the physician's practice. However, we kind of brought this to light many, many years ago, so now it's kind of commonplace as far as most patients understanding that this is a possibility. But Andrew doesn't care. Andrew's like almost willing to take that risk because he was so screwed up about it.
No, I fear that I'll be like Joe if I lose my hair. Further.
Why? Even worse than you are. I don't agree, man. I really don't agree. I mean, there are a lot of guys out there that look at you and they're probably pretty envious at what you have, what you've accomplished, the amount of hair you still have.
No, you know what? It's fine. I mean, it's not. My hair looks decent. It's fine. It's good. But I'm noticing now that I can't do certain things that I want to do with my hair that I could maybe 5 years ago. But I've also noticed that a lot of the shedding stopped that I was experiencing maybe 6-7 months ago.
Oh, that's good.
And it's really not falling out like it was. I think I went through the shedding process, and some of the hair fell out in the front, and the hairline matured a little bit, but it's kind of stopped.
And that's kind of like one of the biggest relieving factors. That's a big relief when that happens. I remember I had to get on medication for it to happen, but once I was able to control that shedding, because that is what really kills you. When you wake up in the morning, you take a shower, or you're combing your hair, or when you're, over your keyboard, and you see that hair all over the place. I mean, that's
when that one hair
really
falls out, I'm just like, it's like in slow motion,
Yeah, but it's so funny that people who aren't dealing with hair loss can never, ever get this. When you first started to do the show with me, when we first started to work together, you had no clue. You were just kind of like, maybe you did for a short while because you had some sort of drug-induced hair loss at one point. You were taking some medication, you were losing some hair. But for the most part, you thought you were, you were bulletproof.
I was fine.
You thought you were bulletproof. You thought there's no way this could happen.
Well, also my hair was a lot shorter. When your hair is shorter, you really don't notice it as much. The way that I was styling my hair, you didn't really notice it. As my hair got longer, I noticed that it's like, what the first thing is that I noticed? I noticed that my hair is not gripping to the other hairs around it. That's because it's not as dense of an area as it was.
Right, and what you're first going to start noticing is like all of a sudden you're going to see these hairs. You're like, where are these hairs coming from? As though they're new hairs growing, and they're kind of just hanging down straight. I have a lot of those, and they're kind of like more flyaway. And you're right, they're not adhering to the other hair. It's not as easy to style. And when you comb your hair back, or comb it to the side, you just have these flyaway hairs in the front. That's usually a sign that you're getting somewhat of a receding hairline. However, like Tracy in the chat room says, I mean, you have, at least according to her, a robust head of hair, just with a mature hairline.
I'm starting to kind of come to grips with the fact that my hairline has matured. I mean, I have a younger brother, and he's a fan of your show, and he watches all the time, which is bizarre.
Which is
18.
Insane. And I met your brother. Your brothers are good kids.
He's getting screwed up from the show, and I told him to stop watching.
He shouldn't watch it. Tell him to watch the free-for-all. We can hang out, drink together, whatever it is, do the free-for-all.
I mean, you met my brother, and he was telling you things from the Bold Truth. Like, he was reciting lines that Joe had said on the Bold Truth. So, he watches.
It's fucking weird. I don't even understand it.
It's really weird. And he was doing his hair, and he asked me to come up, and he said, do you think I'm going to lose my hair? And I said, well, I'll tell you this much. Your hairline is going to mature, and his hairline is like insane. And I told him, I'm like, do you see this area? This is going to go here. This is going to go there. This is going to go there. And it's like, I punched him in the face. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, those are like baby hairs. I'm like, that's all going to go.
Oh my God. I met your brothers. I mean, to me, it's bizarre. I would think that people in that age group would think I was the weirdest freak in the world doing what I do. And just this whole hair loss thing, I would assume they would freak them out. I don't know why they have this affinity for the show.
I'll tell you why. Because no matter how old you are, and a lot of guys, shave their head and they're able to pull it off. But no matter how old you are, if you're told, listen, you're going to lose your hair. It's a ticking time bomb. It's going to happen. The odds are not in your favor. I'm telling you, everybody's going to worry. And it's BS. The guys that turn around and say, I'll just shave my head. I don't give a crap. That's BS.
Well, it is BS. There are some guys that can do it. They're equipped to do it. I love those guys, and that's why I have guys like Todd Green, the inventor of the head blade.
They're able to do it, but if they had a choice.
Well, he said it. If they had a choice, he would never do it.
They would choose hair.
If he had a choice, he would not have shaved his head. He told the story that he played high school basketball, and the entire team had agreed to shave their head for the finals, and just him and one other guy refused to do it. This is before he suffered with any type of hair loss. That's how attached he was to his hair, and that's how uncomfortable he would have felt without, his hair. And he had to make a life choice.
I think he's come to terms with it now, and he's built an unbelievable career over it. But I think even the guys that do shave their head, I'll give you a perfect story. It's like the Seinfeld story, and you brought it up last week. I got a buddy, always shaved his head in high school, Spanish kid. Shaved his head, he pulled it off. That was his look. He had a shaved head, he had a little stubble here and there. And he said the second he realized his hair was falling out, it screwed him up. He's been bald since he was like 16, always had a shaved head. The second he knew he couldn't grow his hair back, that's when it totally screwed him up.
Well, it's all about that lack of control. And also, if you're shaving your head by choice, you're doing it by choice. You have that control. But once you lose that control, you start to kind of feel your mortality. There's all types of psychological issues that come along with hair loss. I don't necessarily get that, because if you're able to live already with a shaved head and look good, to me it'd be like, okay, I'm so lucky that I've already tried this. It works. Now I'm going bald, and I'm forced to do it. But you know what? I've been there before. It's fine. I don't understand. I know why, and intellectually I understand why these people feel this way. But if it were me and I was in that position of already shaving my head, I would have been like, it's not a big deal. I've already been there. But I get it.
It's a tough thing. And I'm 28, and the last 5 years, I've seen my hairline change a little bit. But, I'm seeing a lot of my friends. It's like within 6 months, you're seeing a major shift.
Oh, yeah. Once it starts for some guys, it is rapid. And I talk about still being tough and still being sensitive. I'm 47 years old. I've been dealing with hair loss since the age of 21. Doing my best to keep the hair that I have, conceal my hair loss. Some days I think it looks really good. Some days not as good as I'd like. But, I usually think that for the most part in person or in images, people think that I have a decent head of hair. We took a picture that we were out together. Jess put this picture on her Facebook page, and your boy, first thing he says was, and I know that he's just trying to rib me, guess who's wearing, I wonder if you can guess who's wearing the bad hairpiece. Now, even though I know I'm not wearing a bad hairpiece, and frankly, I wouldn't buy this. I would not buy a comb over. If I was going to buy a hairpiece, it would be a really great hairpiece. But it still affected me. And you're like, well, what's the difference? You're not wearing a hairpiece. And I said, it's not even the point. It's just the point that someone is judging me and looking at my hair and making comments about it. So it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how long I've been dealing with this. Depending on your makeup, it's going to affect you. And it's still, I tell all you guys all the time, one of the reasons I still do this is because it still affects me. It still sucks for some fucking asshole to comment about your hair. Even if he's just trying to get my goat. This guy is a particular prick. And he's always been trying to kind of, he was a pro wrestler. He's always been trying to get my goat. And the truth is, he's really not a prick. He's just a prick towards me.
My dog is going crazy. Sorry, Spence.
No, that's all right. What's he doing? What's going on with him?
I don't know. He's going nuts.
Yeah. By the way, so common law's been out. Common law's been
growling at you on the TV.
So turn it off, man. Maybe he doesn't like my hair.
He went nuts.
Listen, Tracy's in the chat room. I haven't heard from Tracy in a long time. Tracy's been getting a lot of shit online. And
I don't understand. And I told Joe to back off because Joe starts arguing with her in the chat room.
Well, a lot of guys argue with her on the message forums. And Tracy does her best to really provide as much information to people as possible. She's been through the mill. She's a woman who's dealt with having a hair transplant, dealt with hair loss for many years. She gives advice to the best of her ability. She's extremely knowledgeable. I can see she gets frustrated with these guys, especially the young guys. I certainly understand it. But I don't know why everyone gives her so much shit. Tracy, do me a favor. I'd love to hear from you. I pick up the phone and let's talk about what's happening online. And I'd love to talk about, what's happening in your life since you've had the transplant. And I know that you have a guy in your life and all that stuff. I'd love to talk to you. 888-659-3727. So do me a favor. Give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. 888-659-3727. Sometimes, I go on the forum before the show. I try not to go on all week because it would just drive me crazy. There's so much bullshit that goes on the forum, and I see these guys who are fucking going after her, and I could see she's getting a little frustrated, and she's maybe taking a couple of swings herself. But I think to myself, I put this forum out there so people can help each other, so people can share, like-minded people can come together and share their hope and their strength and their courage and give advice to each other. And it ends up just being a shit fest sometimes. And you've read the forum, Andrew. It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
It gets nutty, but that's, welcome to the internet. People are insane.
Jesus.
I mean, it's just bizarre how that happens, where I think what happens on the internet is that because of anonymity, you think you can do and say whatever you want, but in reality, you would never act like that.
Well, absolutely, they wouldn't act like that. And I see some of the guys on there, and most of these guys are young guys, and I know that they're desperate, but they could be such pricks to each other. It's kind of like, come on, guys, we're all in the same boat. Let's get it together.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's like, what level sufferer are you? Well, where are you on a Norwood scale? Well, if you're not a 3 or a 4, then you can't complain.
Yeah, and then if you're not a 3 and a 4, if you're a Norwood 2, and you want to do something, and people are advising you not to do it, they're like, well, you just don't want me to look good. You guys are all bitter and old and ugly and fat, and you don't want me to look better than you guys. I've seen that in the forum. It's crazy. It's crazy. You want to take a call?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to have to run because the dog is acting crazy.
Okay, do your thing,
I'll call
man.
back in a little bit.
Thanks for the call.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Spencer, how are you doing?
Johnny, what's happening, bro?
Not much, man. How you been?
I'm good. Long time no speak. I'm glad you called. I'm a little worried about Joe.
Well, what's wrong with him?
He hasn't called in.
Oh, today?
Yeah.
Well, he's got to call in. I mean, Joe, if you're out there, you got to call in. I mean,
well, that's the thing.
My headset's screwed up, so I can't get sound. So, Andrew, I texted in the room, and Andrew told me to call in. So.
Okay. So I'm glad that you called in. What's happening with you, man? How are you?
Well, it's my birthday today.
Oh shit! Happy birthday! You know what? I knew that, and I think I missed. Did I miss George's birthday this year? I don't know. So how old are you now?
George has been sporadic.
Oh, are you 48?
49.
49. Holy shit! You're old as shit, bro.
That's what my dad just got off the phone and told me.
I was actually talking to somebody today about age, and this person is in the cosmetic surgery industry, and I tell you, it's all relative, man. It really is all relative. There, guys who are 21 years old think that we're old.
Oh yeah.
Really
well, when you're that age, when you were in your 20s, you thought a lady 34, 35 was. I mean, that was up there. Well, thank you, Tracy.
Well, I still do, but that's besides the point. But you said a lady, right?
I said lady.
Okay, yeah. No, but so I'm talking to this person who has had a tremendous amount of work done. Okay, really great, gal, and she's not that old. She's pretty, she's a little younger than us. And it was really interesting to kind of get a little insight of especially how women think about aging and how much it really affects them. I got to tell you, man, I'm not that affected by it. I'm really not. To me, it's like it's not a big deal. I still feel good. I may get drunk tonight, enjoy myself a little bit. Common law is out. Hopefully she's going to be a little loaded when she comes in. She's got a driver tonight, so and she went out with some friends. Maybe she'll be a little horned up. And I'm thinking about this at 47. So that doesn't change.
Hair looks good.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. But it doesn't change. I mean, people think that somehow you get a little older, You lose a little hair, your looks change a little bit, and, life it goes out the window. Was I better looking when I was young? There's no fucking doubt in my mind. If you saw video of me side by side, it's kind of like, you see that change. You just evolve. Your head gets bigger, your face gets bigger, your body gets bigger. Everything, kind of just matures and hardens and changes. But it's not so bad. But women, they have it rough, man. They really have it rough. Does your wife ever talk about her age?
Oh man, she's it's funny. She tells everybody she's only like 39. She looks very good for her age. I have to say that she's has a youthful look to her.
And I mean, what is? I mean, but she complains about it. She's
right. She's well, I shouldn't say that. The whisper. She's in there listening. She's 48. So
see, to me, that's. I mean, I'm 47. I'm going to be 48 in 6 months. It's like we were probably born the same. She was born in 64. I was born in 65. We're basically the same age. We have the same references. There's something to be said about that. My wife is significantly younger than me, but there's certainly something to be said about hanging out with people who get your reference points. Who understand, who grew up with, F Troop and Gilligan's Island, and all the shows that we grew up with. The Rookies and SWAT and all that stuff, and Welcome Back, Kotter. I talk about that with my wife. She looks at me like I'm speaking Chinese.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. Yeah, you mentioned things like when you were a kid, Captain Kangaroo, and they look at you like you're nuts.
You mentioned the fact that you actually used to watch TV. Even if you had a color TV, they were black and white shows.
Oh, yeah, Andy Griffin. This Lost in Space. I'm sure you watch a lot of that.
Are you kidding me? Lost in Space. Will Robinson. I mean, I love that show.
Yeah, those were the good old days.
And we never thought about hair loss back then, did we?
No, we didn't. Not at all. I mean, one thing we worried about was, how much time we had to play, I guess. That's something you don't see either, too. When we were kids, Spencer, whatever the season was in what sport is what you played, correct, outside?
That's right.
They don't do that anymore. Do you ever see kids out having a pickup game of baseball or football or anything?
I live in an interesting neighborhood, and there are some kids in my neighborhood, actually these kids down the block, that were throwing a football around today. There's no pickup games.
No.
But, I lived in like a concrete jungle. I grew up in Manhattan, New York City, born in Brooklyn, grew up in Manhattan. So I kind of played different games, and I think than the suburban kid. Now, we played pickup football, but we played on a concrete surface. So
right.
it was touch football on a concrete surface. And I did play tackle
football. But you all
football.
Congregated and did it.
Oh, it was. I was out, dude. I was the kid that was out till, it didn't matter. I had to be home by dark, but I was just out until it was dark, and I was filthy, until I took my shower at night, and just playing all day and constantly. You played football. You're right. It was seasonal. Basketball, football, baseball, or softball. And we also played roller hockey. And, of course, stickball and stuff like that. Kids don't do that today.
You don't see, it's odd when you see a bunch of kids playing like that. You don't see it hardly.
Well, you know what my nephew wants? When I was back in New York and I hung out with my nephew, and he doesn't want to do anything like that. He wants me to take him to GameStop and buy him Halo and... Was that the word Halo? Is that the game? And Assassin 3.
Spencer, you're way above me now. I remember when we had Pong.
Dude, that's so funny, man. I was actually trying to tell him that there was a time when the video games first came out that you were just happy to be able to hit this little magical ball on a screen with these two magical paddles.
And it kept score.
Jesus. And you're right, follically challenged, we do need a hair loss show on TV. So if you want to watch us on TV, you can tune in on your TiVo and check us out.
We're going to have a hair loss show?
Well, we're already on TV, but it's not officially on TV. You can see us through TiVo and different devices like that on Samsung television sets as well.
So are we going to have possibly the Joe from Staten Island installment?
I would love to have Joe from
on these
Staten
shows.
Island. Yeah, I would love to have Joe on camera. And I told him before that I would set him up a nice little studio. We'd rig up something really nice for him in his house. He would never have to leave. We can do it through Skype. I would pay for the equipment. I'd set him up. I'd even sound dead in the room, not soundproof it. That's too expensive. But make it nice and dead in his room because he's in the bedroom anyway. And all he has to do is go on camera. He refuses to do anything like that. I'd give him a little segment.
Spencer, that's gold, man. That is gold right there.
See his kid open the door.
You.
Like they shove a steak under the door.
I'm telling you, it would go viral. I mean, like you wouldn't believe.
I know.
He's gold. He is absolute gold mine.
Well, you know what? He definitely has his moments. What's funny about Joe is that there's a camp that really loves Joe, and then there's the camp that really hates Joe. Guys that write me and they're like, it's the same shit week after week. Joe from Staten Island, and then there's
But they listen every week.
They do listen every week, but then there's the guys that are just, they get it. They know that the reason why I keep them on is because I and other guys have said this before. There's a little of Joe in each of us. We all suffer in different ways when it comes to hair loss, but Joe is that. On the end of the spectrum that hopefully most guys will never reach, but it exists. And it's important that people know that. And then maybe I think there's a percentage of guys out there that listen to Joe and see, or they don't see him, listen to Joe and they're like, you know what? Thank God I've been able to come to terms with it a little bit better than Joe. And then there are guys that are slipping into that abyss that, might not go as far as Joe, as far as, never leaving the house or just being crippled by this because they see how difficult Joe's life is. And also he's funny.
But his defense, though, I mean, he was in the early years of hair transplantation, and, Joe is a sufferer in terms of being butchered.
Yes.
I mean, the guy was butchered.
Yes.
Had these butchers have not been out there, had you not had these, the liars in this profession at the time, Joe may have had a different outlook on
it. Well, they still exist. You know what I mean?
Well, but the thing is, though, Spencer, there wasn't a bald truth back then. There wasn't a Spencer Kobren that had this information, right. And you were brave enough to come forward with it and to press on. Basically, it was the shiny magazine covers and the advertisements in the newspapers and such. And when you're desperate, you're going to believe anything. And Joe did. I did. I know exactly what he's gone through.
I almost did too. I was talking about this with Common Law the other night. There's a poster on our forum who is, very vocal about the industry, and he's a guy that has been screwed to a degree that no one wants to be screwed. I think he's had, scalp reductions or maybe even a brandy lift. I'm not sure if he's had that, but severe scarring, really bad work. He's getting some work done in Brussels, I think, to fix his case, and he's very outspoken about the industry. He's not necessarily correct about everything that he says, but I do think that he certainly deserves a platform, for sure. And I think that even though I don't agree with everything this guy says, and I think he can be extremely insulting, and he kind of throws out some innuendo even about me, I think he deserves a place to vent and to do his best to help other people. And that's frankly why he's allowed to do it. I am basically the same age as this guy, and I could have made the same decisions. And there was something in me, and the same decision as Joe, and I guess you, but there's something in me, there was something in me that said, this is fucked up. I'm not going to, the guy, when I first learned about scalp reduction, I'm like, how can that possibly make sense? What about this hair? Isn't that going to fall out? My first thought was, isn't that hair going to fall out eventually? Or if they change the integrity of your scalp, isn't the entire scalp going to look odd? Will the back hairline look weird? And these are questions that I asked doctors. When Norman Orentreich wanted to give me a few transplants just to try them. I put on the brakes, man. As desperate as I was like, this is fucked up. There's something going on here. I need to do my due diligence and my research and learn more about the reality of this industry before I take another step. And that was a catalyst for this entire movement. That was a catalyst for me considering writing a book and even moving on with my research. I wish these guys and this guy that posted in the forum and you guys could have seen that, but I know how difficult it is. I know how difficult it was because we're so desperate. You're kind of being sold a bill of goods. Maybe these guys weren't as good as salesmen as you had. You know what I mean? Maybe that's why I was able to step back and say something's weird about this.
Well, I think Chauncey hit a real. He made a really good point when he said that folks might need to go see a counselor. Maybe somebody in the profession, as far as your mental outlook, to get a handle on your emotions. Had that happened, I might not have done it. I would have had somebody a little bit more objective, from the outside. But when you talk to the doctor and you figure, hey, he's a doctor. He's got to know what he's doing.
That's mistake number one for any type of doctor, and that's it doesn't matter how old you are. People are still, in that belief that doctors know best, and that all doctors are ethical. And I got to tell you, man, there are a lot of doctors out there that I've met throughout the years, and a lot of doctors that I have known about and heard about, and have been privy to inside information about, who are drug addicts, alcoholics, wife beaters. Just the lowest of the low, and they just happen to be
human.
They just happen to be MDs.
And the thing is, but society puts them on such a high pedestal, and with their training and such, I can understand where some of that can be true. But when you're doing shitty work, pardon the expression, when you know that you're doing half-assed work, and you continue to experiment on people, and you continue to lie, what's that? Doesn't that contradict the oath that they've taken?
Of course, the Hippocratic Oath. And listen, this may sound obnoxious, but the truth is, to me, a doctor works for you, especially if you're dealing with something that's non-life-threatening, like cosmetic surgery. If I'm hiring you, you're working for me, bro. I'm paying your bills. This procedure is paying something for your life. It's paying for your overhead. It's paying for your kids, helping to pay for your kids' private school tuition. So you're going to listen to me. You are, in a sense, working for me. And I don't think that the majority of people see it that way. And maybe they should. It doesn't take away from their training. It doesn't take away from the doctor's credentials if they're a good doctor. It doesn't take away from the years of schooling. But the truth is, you're paying them for a service. You're not working for them, they're working for you. So if someone is out there telling you, that makes you something, they're going to do something to you that makes you feel uncomfortable, you get out of that chair and you walk and you make your decisions based on your gut, not just, okay, well, the doctor knows best. If something doesn't smell right, you got to move on. Most people don't think that way.
Well, there's been many, many, many of us that have been butchered over the years because of the doctors that are unethical, just because they went to medical school and they hang a shingle out and say that they're a cosmetic surgeon or whatever surgery they may have performed, and they think that they can do hair transplants. Does not necessarily mean that they're very good.
Well, most of these guys have no training. Most of the guys that get into hair transplantation have had no surgical training whatsoever. They're not even board-certified surgeons, general surgeons. A lot of these guys, some of these guys don't even have a specialty. They're basically general practitioners, which is nothing wrong with that, but they have no specialty. Most of these guys are not board-certified in anything, except they may be board-certified now by the Hair Restoration Board. But that's not necessarily, to me, that's a little questionable. And I know they're coming, the American Board of, what is the Hair Restoration Board now? The American Board of Hair Restoration Surgery. I think they've come a long way, and I think they're trying to do the right thing. There's a lot of bad guys, in my view, that are part of the board that were kind of grandfathered in. So that's not necessarily something that people can go to and say, all right, these guys are boarded. At least I know that they're skilled. They may have passed a test, a written test, and an oral exam. Doesn't mean they have good hand. So it's a mess out there, man.
When listening to Dr. Bauman, when he said he first got into it, I don't know who his mentor was, but it sounds like he surpassed his mentor.
Well,
I mean, because he stayed in the field to refine it and to get better.
He's an interesting guy, Dr. Bauman, and I really, really believe that he believes that, he's the type of guy that believes that you got to keep working to continue to evolve and to achieve better results. I really do. He gets a lot of shit, too, because he's so out there. He gets a lot of press. A lot of doctors in the industry don't really love the guy. I think because he gets so much notoriety. Sometimes, some doctors on there that say he jumps on certain things prematurely. But, I think the proof is in the pudding. There are very happy patients out there. Now, the truth is there's unhappy patients that come out of every doctor's practice. You do enough surgery, you're going to have an unhappy patient. The key is consistency. And he has consistent and consistently happy patients. And I think he's just, I think he's good at what he does. And he's also a really cool guy. He's a nice guy. So, listen, Johnny, man, I appreciate the call. I'm going to take somebody else. It's always a pleasure hearing from you, man. I'm glad you're doing well. And listen, happy birthday, man. Have a shot for me, all right?
Yeah, no problem. And I hope Joe comes on.
I hope he does, too.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
I'm in goddamn dreamland. I'm being attacked by my detractors. It's really amazing. I don't know what to say anymore. By the way, happy birthday, Johnny.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
My name is excuse me. My name is
Would you like to may I reiterate it?
My name is
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
Joe, I have to tell you, man, I was concerned. I was a little worried. Normally, I know I come into the studio. If I come in a little early to set up, that phone is lit. And I know that's you. I know that's Joe from Staten Island. That did not happen today.
Well, Spencer, first of all, you have your computer in front of you. You can see the message board. You can see the chat room is lighting up now that I'm on the air.
Of course. You're a star, man.
I appreciate it. I want to apologize to you and your millions of listeners. First of all, I've been working so hard on all the, some disappointing news, all the attacks. I've been utterly exhausted. I've been in a psychotically drug-induced state. Luckily, my son woke me up, telling me, Dad, you should be working. What are you doing? And Spencer, I've been working so hard, all that's going on. I apologize to you.
All right, so
I hope you won't reprimand me.
You're not going to be reprimanded, so tell us what's going on. Tell us what you're working on.
I mean, first of all, I want to say, your previous caller, I don't appreciate, he kind of attacked me in a way. I don't appreciate that.
Who attacked you, Johnny?
No, you. I see previous caller. Did I say you?
No, John. I said Johnny.
Yes, he may. He's a good guy. I like him a lot, but I don't think he really knows what he's talking about. Johnny, I could have the best hair transplant in the world, man. I'd still be a happy, balding sufferer. So whatever you think, you don't know what the heck you're talking about. Sorry to attack you. You have been on the air in a few weeks. But I'm just really.
I'm actually shocked. I'm shocked that you would say that to John. Johnny's your biggest fan.
I love him, but he went over the top tonight. I have to tell you.
What are you talking? I don't even know what you're talking about. What did he say that was over the top?
That I was butchered. That what does he know about my case? I could have the best hair restoration in the world. I'd still be a balding cat. The guy's delusional. He hasn't called in weeks. I want to castigate him and George about that.
Wow, I'm shocked, man. Johnny would never attack. Johnny would never tell. I think that your paranoia is setting in a little bit. I think maybe you need to tell your shrink to adjust your meds.
Well, as you know, I am bipolar. What Johnny was saying, I'm an unhappy, balding sufferer because I've been butchered. John, I could have had a transplant 3 months ago. I'd still be unhappy. Believe me when I tell you that. It's better to know that as well as I do. All right, I'm just in a really agitated state because I missed 45 minutes of the show, and it's really upset because my reputation is being, attacked, and I haven't been loyal to you, Spencer. I apologize to you and your staff. This is not like me, and please don't punish me for this, Spencer. Please.
No, I'm waiting to take a break so I can get another drink. But go ahead.
All right. I mean, first of all, obviously, I'm devastated with attacks against Dr. Zarian. I'm devastated with attacks against you, and I'm devastated equally over the Adirondack news today.
I'll tell you what. Before you get into that, I have someone who wants to talk to you. All right? Can you?
Okay. Thank you, Spencer.
All right. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, how's it going, Spencer? Hey, Joe.
Johnny, I'm a little. I've been, as you know, I've been exhausted with all that's been going on, and my son woke me up. Luckily, I've been, all types of pharmaceutical agents today, in addition to drinking. And my son woke me up. I hear you attacking me on the air, saying I was butchered and all these terrible things. I mean, how could you make a statement like that, Johnny?
Well, no, I said that from your previous.
And by the way, when I castigate you, you haven't called in several weeks, by the way.
Well, a few times I tried to call in, Joe. There was people on the line, so I figured there's other folks that need to express their opinion and get some advice. But I did not attack you, Joe. What I said was that I felt that being butchered by these folks that performed these hideous hair transplants back in the day, that your life might have been a little bit different had you had maybe the gold standard of today.
Johnny, if I had the gold standard of today, I'd still be unhappy. You think I'd be happy? Really? Come on.
If you had a full head of hair, would you be happy?
Tell me what surgery can give you a full head of hair. Maybe you know of anyone doing follicular neogenesis?
I gotta tell you, I'm a little taken aback at your attitude towards Johnny, Joe.
Joe. He made a statement that someone surgery can give me a full head of hair. Maybe I'm delusional. I'm living on another plane.
I think you are. Listen, I'm gonna have to castigate you. I think you are acting. You're acting out a little bit tonight, Joe, and I'm a little surprised. Johnny's a fan.
Well,
I'm your biggest fan, Joe.
Personally, Johnny, what surgeon can give you full head of hair? Maybe he's advised you. Maybe you give you his name. I'd love to go see him.
Joe, you know as well as I do that there's no way you're ever going to get every single hair that you've ever lost.
Johnny, not even close.
You're going to get the illusion, Joe.
Not even the illusion, Johnny. Not even close.
Well, Joe, this is where we agree to disagree. People like Joe Tillman, like Specs, I think are living, with the illusion of hair.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Joe Tillman was so bald at a young age, and he had bad work. If you were to see him in person, yes, Joe, as an expert, you would notice him thinning on top. But for the most part, he looks like a guy just has fine hair that combs it back, and you would never in a million years know that he had a hair transplant. He is 40. I think he's 40 years old or 43. He's getting
early to mid 40s.
He's getting up there, but he looks fantastic, man.
Well, that's a matter of opinion, Spencer. Actually, Joe Tronick attacked me a couple weeks ago. You on vacation in that chat room. I'd rather not get into that. It was a vicious assault at me.
I'm very interested, actually. I'm very interested in knowing what he said. How do you know it was actually Joe Tronick?
Because I was talking to him I was talking to him in the chat room when you were on vacation.
Yeah, but how do you know it was actually him? If I was on vacation, you don't know who the fuck is in the chat room?
And he claimed to be Joe Tronick, and he seemed like he was Joe Tronick from what he was stating.
Well, how did he attack you, Joe?
Well, he said he was stating that he had a friend who was diagnosed with cancer. And
he has, actually, yes.
He said, and he felt that his friend's cancer was more serious than hair loss. And me and him got in a virtual, so we say, cyber argument over the fact that, in my expert opinion, hair loss is I mean, cancer is treatable, where hair loss is not. And he went like berserk.
Well, of course he did. And this is a guy that has suffered immensely over hair loss.
And still is, obviously.
But a guy that has been affected by hair loss and has, he's been through the mill, bad surgery. He dedicated his life to helping others. And, the first real hair transplant mentor on the internet, the guy that started it all as far as posting a full case study or his journey online in images. And now, countless other people have taken his lead. Even he understands that there are more serious issues than hair loss.
But you're reading in the chat room now. You can see that what I'm saying was true. Joe Tronick made some insane statements in the chat room. You reading the chat room right now?
I'm reading the chat room right now.
You see what Joe Tronick was saying? He viciously attacked me. I was offended by it. He's a balding man. And he should know how terrible hair loss is.
Oh, he knows. He knows. He also knows that his friend who's 40 years old is diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma, I think it was. And he's not going to, he probably won't make it.
I think that Joe's friend with cancer is much more serious and much more, a worse problem than hair loss, Joe, in my opinion.
Well, that's all right, Johnny. I'm sorry for being a little bit cruel with you, but Johnny,
it's all right.
I disagree with you and the millions of people listening to this show right now.
I just want to tell there's a guy in the room.
You're allowed to do whatever you want, buddy.
There's a guy who's up late who's in the chat room, London 24, who just wanted to say hi. I want to say hi to him as well. I want you to know that we're going to be doing a UK broadcast starting in about. Actually, we're going to be starting on the 11th, starting in about 2 weeks. Which is going to be airing in the UK 7 p.m. live UK time. So I'm really excited about that. We've already gotten a lot of interest from UK press, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Sidekick for the broadcast, or at least for most of the shows, we're going to bring Spencer Stevenson on board. We're setting him up a nice little studio over in the UK, and we're also going to have some other guys from the UK who are part of the industry to step in, talk about what's happening in hair loss in the UK, and of course, throughout Europe. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to do it. It is going to be, 11 o'clock in the morning my time, so I won't be able to drink on the show. I guess I can. No one's really going to know, right? Unless they're counting.
11 a.m. so that'll be like 2 p.m. on the East Coast, right? Am I correct?
Say that again. 2
p.m. on the East Coast.
Yes, it's 2 p.m. on the East Coast, 11 p.m. on the West Coast, and 11 a.m. on the West Coast. And just so you know, Joe, I appreciate the fact that you're probably going to want to call in, but and you're more than welcome to call in, but it is unlikely that I'm going to give you as much time on the London Bald Truth show as I do here in the U.S. You are the U.S. star. So
I'm Spencer. I'll be calling in. I will be Charles from Manchester, approximately 30 kilometers due south of London, chap. I'm really outraged by the British press attacking poor Prince William. God damn those chaps.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Brits really react to the emotional aspect of the Bald Truth, because these are guys who are really not used to talking about anything emotional.
Very stoic.
Very stoic, stiff upper lip and all that stuff. And I think it's going to be, not only is it going to be interesting, I think it's going to really be an interesting case study as far as, the people in the UK, at least the media, checking out what we're doing, because I can guarantee you a lot of guys are going to break down the air. This is something that's never really been talked about to this level in the United Kingdom before, and at least openly. So I'm really interested to see and to learn how young guys are dealing with it over there, and I'm interested to see how they open up. So I'm excited.
I'll disagree with you on that. You said like poor Prince William was practically Noah 6 is being viciously attacked every day of the poor man's life from a disease which he can't treat, has no control over. I mean, isn't that saying it all?
Well, it's horrible that he's dealing with this and getting so much shit for it, but he's a public figure. So of course that's just the way that it is. He has to, and I think he's being pretty stoic. He's not walking around,
holds his head high.
He's holding his head high. Yes, he's got a slight comb over like his father. He's actually worse.
But I mean, he doesn't let it inhibit anything in his life.
Well, dude, he's banging he's banging like one of the hottest babes in Britain.
Joe, what do you mean? How do I know? Look who he's married to. Look at the lifestyle he leads. Look at the things that he does. I mean, he's.
I guarantee you, when he puts on his uniform or a tuxedo, he's looking at himself saying, "Shit, I used to look a lot better, and I'm getting all this crap from the tabloids. However, I'm the goddamn prince. Look at my wife."
Well, I've noticed he loves to wear his military uniform when he gets to garnish that military cap. I've noticed that.
Yeah.
He's much more secure. Have you noticed that too, Spencer, in your expert opinion? Have you noticed that?
I haven't really. I don't really study Prince William. I know that a lot of people do. I do think that he could be helped significantly. However, I think that he would be so overly scrutinized that it might not be worth his trouble.
Oh, you know what, though, Spencer? Maybe you getting into the UK and building an audience and a fan base there, maybe it may change some opinions, and maybe, in the course of time, he may try something.
Well, maybe I'll have him on the show.
Well, that would be great. That would be great. Seriously.
I'd love to interview him.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Could you imagine Andrew interviewing Prince William?
I think it would be funny if I can actually get into the palace and sit down one-on-one with Prince William to talk about his hair loss, and he breaks down for the bald truth.
It never happens, Spencer. You know that. Even though it's still a star like you think that he would, that would be all the British tabloids. You know that.
I know it wouldn't happen, but I could fantasize about it and talk about it. It's a show. We're having fun here.
Well, how about
you fantasize about Prince William, Spencer?
At times.
What way is that?
At times.
In what way?
See, but not sexually. Why can't I fantasize about something that's going to be fun in my career? Why does the word fantasize have to be attached to sex?
Well, Spencer, what about having an interview with Vice President Joe Biden, who's had a hair transplant?
I would love to.
That would be great.
That would be awesome. Who knows what's going to happen in the coming years?
That'd be great.
Well, a lot of sufferers are demanding the chat with Spencer that I get to the news. What do you think? Do I have time for that
let's do that. Let's do it. Johnny, man, thank you for calling back.
Well, thank you.
Hey, Johnny, I'm sorry if I was a little tough on you, Sam, but I'm just, as you know, I'm a diagnosed bipolar schizophrenic. I'm just in a really angry mood tonight.
I understand, Joe, and I don't take it to heart. I've got thick skin, thin hair, but thick skin.
And by the way, Johnny, I must castigate you for not calling you for the past month, by the way.
And the thing is Spencer's had other guests on that I would like to sit and listen to, and
Johnny's just enjoying the show. Why does he have to call in all the time if he doesn't want to? I mean, come on. Let him enjoy the show. Let him sit back and relax and have a couple of beers.
Tonight I'm without headphones, so I called in. I seen that on the chat board that you were in the room, so I called in just to listen, and then I heard that I was being, as you say, castigated. As long as I wasn't being castrated, I guess everything's okay.
Well, Johnny, I haven't been in the room yet, to tell you the truth. I haven't been in the
Johnny,
room
do you need to hold on in order to listen to the show? Because I could put you on
I don't
hold.
want to tie up one of your lines. I'll just watch the chat.
All right, man, I appreciate it.
No problem.
Right,
thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take it easy, Joe.
So thank you, Johnny. Spencer, the news will be very brief.
Yeah, let's do it. You know what? Guys, I'm gonna take a quick break, and then Joe's gonna come back with the news, and we'll take some more calls. Phone number is 888-659-3727. And yes, we are starting the Bald Truth UK on December the 11th at 7 p.m. UK time. Very excited about it. Should be getting some press about that as well. So stay tuned for that. And, of course, if you want to call the show now, the phone number is 888-659-3727. 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. You're listening to and watching The Bald Truth. We'll be right back.
Hey, the Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar. And Michael Anthony. You're listening to the baldest on the planet, Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth. Woo!
Hey guys, welcome back. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Just for you guys who are, if you're just tuning back in or you're just tuning in for the first time, you're obviously watching the Hair Loss Show. For all you guys in the UK and Europe, we will be providing you guys with a local UK number to call into. So you're not going to have to, obviously, call the States. And I'm not going to have you call my toll-free number here in the States, but you will have a local number to call the broadcast, 7 p.m. every Tuesday night in the UK. Obviously, if you stay up late, you can see the U.S. version of the show as well. But we've been getting such a tremendous demand for the show in the UK, I decided, you know what the fuck? It's a little extra work, but let's do it. 888-659-3727. Let's get back to Joe. Joe, hey.
Hey, Spencer. Again, I apologize to you and your staff. Next time, please have one of your staff members who call me up and wake me up. You have my contact information. Thank God that my son woke me up.
I'm glad.
Well, Spencer, first of all, can your American listeners, they want to call the UK show, what number would they call? The same 88 number, or will it be a different number?
I will give you a number, Joe, that you'll be able to call. But no, I don't think the UK guys, the American guys are going to want to call the UK number.
Well, can you have your staff email me that number so have it on file for the December 11th premiere?
Maybe.
I really, I understand I can't be that big a part of the show because you want to save me for America, but I really think I should be your first caller to wish you good luck.
You're certainly, I will give you my personal studio line, Joe, so you can call in. Don't worry.
I understand I can't be, you're kind of like, shall we say, semi-sidekick? How does that sound?
You can certainly say that. You believe whatever you want to believe, Joe.
Yes, but I'll be like just a caller.
Joe, we love you, man. You're welcome to call, but like I said, we can't have you monopolizing the program because we're we're running a different show.
Well, since your staff has already notified me of that fact, I understand it, but I think just I believe in I'm very superstitious. I believe in good luck. I will try to be a first call.
Well, if you're up that early, I know it's like 2:00 in the afternoon, but that's early for you. Then you're more than welcome to call.
So I get up actually about 12.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. So you'll be wide awake by then. You get your workout done and everything.
Yeah, my workout. Yeah, well, that takes about 5 minutes with a little Vaseline, then that's finished.
Jesus.
Well, Spencer, shall I be Charles from Manchester, or shall I be Joe from Staten Island?
I think you should be. Let's see. You could be Chauncey from Nottingham.
Or Sean from Dublin.
Yeah.
Your listeners are demanding that I give the news. Well, first of all, should I get the Adirond's news first, or the official attacks that the Zarian news first?
I'd like to get the Adirond's news out there, and then you can talk about Zarian.
Well, as you know, there's our good friend Dr. Kenny Wishanek has recently addressed a cellular conference, and the news has gone viral all over the internet and YouTube and everything else. And I have to tell you, Spencer, I hate to say it, but I've dissected the whole thing, and I was absolutely devastated with what I saw. And I don't mean it.
Well, explain to our listeners and viewers what you saw and what it's all about.
Well, I spent approximately, I had a very exhausting day, as you can imagine, between dissecting the interview from Greg Zarian, the Adirondack interview today. Well, Dr. Wishanek addressed, the bottom line is he's achieved some regrowth in 60% of his patients, approximately 13, I believe, centimeters of hair, which is really not that much. But when I saw the pictures, I was mortified, and not in a good way. I mean,
how are you going to be mortified? How is anyone ever mortified in a good way, Joe?
Well, you mortified a good way. You won a lottery, you're mortified, right? You won $100 million. Am I correct?
I wouldn't be mortified if I won the lottery. I would be ecstatic. I'd be thrilled. I'd be over the moon. I wouldn't use the term mortified. I don't think that's a good description of.
Well, in New York now, the Powerball is $450 million. You know what? If I won that, I'd be mortified, and I'd still be a bald man. That's the sad part. But I mean, whatever. Okay, so it works. 60% of patients, and it achieves some really minute regrowth. All this after 10 years. And the doctor, I'm not criticizing Dr. Wishanek. He's a good friend of mine and yours, as you know. He actually treated me many years ago back when he was in NYU position. I met him.
And did you meet him through the show back then?
No, I actually met him way before that, around 1982, I believe. He was at NYU. He was working at NYU, am I correct?
Well, I knew him in NYU back in 98, 99.
I met him in the 80s.
He didn't start working with Bosley until, I think, 2000.
Well, he was in NYU position, am I correct? And he actually examined my scalp.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he examined my scalp, and he put me on minoxidil. He said I was a great candidate for it. Obviously, I wasn't that great a candidate for it, but that's another story. I'm not criticizing him. He's a great physician, a friend of the show. I'm just saying I dissected approximately, like 5 or 6 pictures they put out. And my expert opinion, I mean, I saw virtually no change in the subject. Did you dissect the same pictures I did, or am I delusional?
I didn't dissect the pictures. There was definitely an improvement, for sure. I don't think it was as dramatic as we, at least, photographically, as we all hope for. But it doesn't mean that, in a month, things aren't going to click. It doesn't mean that in 6 months, things aren't going to click. It doesn't mean that as they continue their next phase, that it's not going to be like, all right, you know what? Yeah, it's not working on everybody, but we see a significant amount of regrowth, and it's a positive step towards finding an effective cure for hair loss. Everyone wants this to happen right away. Everyone wants this, all right, we got it. It's done. It's over. If you have the money, you can get it done. I don't see that happening right now. It's unfortunate. I wish that were the case, but I look at these things in stages, and I'm excited to see any positive response, no matter how minimal some people may think that it is.
Well, he also made a tragic and shocking statement. May I repeat that on the air for you listener, Spencer?
Yes.
The tragic statement that Dr. Washenik made, which really freaked me out. One of the reasons why I've been in a psychotic state all day.
Oh, one of the reasons.
One of the reasons, yes. Thank you, Vincent, for waking me up. I have to buy my toy tomorrow, by the way, for waking me up to do the show. Because I got a phone call tomorrow from the producers where was it, to see if I was there or alive. Remember that last time they called me? And when I missed the show?
Yes.
Actually, your producer Andrew called me, if you remember that.
I do remember that.
Well, okay. What did it say now? Dr. Washenik made a tragic statement. No new hair follicles are created as they thought before. Other words, no follicular neogenesis. It only stimulates dormant hair follicles. That destroyed hair loss sufferers. That statement alone. I've been online all day dissecting the hair loss sufferers. Are stunned by that statement. And can you please elaborate on that, Spencer?
What am I going to say to that? What am I going to say, Joe? How can I elaborate on that? How can I make that any better than it actually sounds?
I mean, I was actually blown away saying, I'm depressed enough now. It's the holiday season, and I could wait till after Christmas, But, I'm really just shocked. I'm preparing for the UK show, trying to get so much work done, and I don't know what to do first. And just receiving that just really destroyed me.
Look, don't be shocked. Obviously, apparently there's an Indian doctor who's doing it.
Yes, and we get to that. Dr. Dimba, I went to his website. He has some great pictures, man. Too bad I don't think they're real, but in my expert opinion, but if they were real, this man is for hair loss on his own.
I am not saying a fucking word, man. I am not. I'm going to let you guys work that out for yourself. All I can tell you is this. When something like this comes to fruition, you're going to hear about it on this program. I'm going to be screaming from the rafters, telling everybody to go, run and get this done. I am going to be in that chair myself. I promise you guys. So that's all I'm going to say. That's all I have to say. I'm going to let it play out in the forums. I'm going to let you guys battle it out. I'm going to let this doctor come on, and if he wants to be interviewed by me, I'd be more than happy to take the time to interview him. Maybe I can set something up where we can kind of do a public roundtable where you guys who are really battling out in the forum over this, we can even pick some time during midday, and have 5 or 6 of you guys sign up to call into the broadcast and have you guys ask questions yourselves directly to this doctor. I'll arrange that. What do you think about that idea?
I think it's a great idea, Spencer. I'm not saying 100% doesn't work, but I have my strong doubts and my expert opinion that it does work. It's possible, yes. Anything's possible. Do you agree with that statement, Spencer?
Anything is possible. I'd say you're correct. Anything is possible. I don't mean to be a naysayer, so I'm not going to be. You have to take a look at where this information is coming from. That's all. You have to take a close look at whoever's making these type of claims, whether it's this doctor or another doctor. You got to take a look at their website. You got to take a look at their credentials. You have to take a look at how they operate their practice. Just be smart, guys. That's all I'm telling you. Just be smart.
Now, our good friend, the great, that beautiful young lady Tracy, is demanding, that I address the question. Should I address that question first or get to the Zarian interview? What do you prefer first?
You can address her question, then I'm going to take a call, and then you can get to the Zarian interview.
Well, I wanted to, defend, Dr. Zarian was attacked, as you probably...
Right, so defend Dr. Zarian now, and then we can get to Tracy.
Defend Dr. Zarian now to get to the Tracy question?
Yes.
Yeah, as you predicted, you and Dr. Zarian were attacked online all week, over his interview.
I was attacked. See, I'm not reading enough online. Why was I attacked?
Well, they were saying that you and him were holding back information.
Why the fuck would we be holding back information? I'm not holding it back. I can tell you why these guys may be holding it back. Because there's some real assholes online who are making it so fucking difficult for any of these scientists or any of these researchers or any of these doctors to come out and share their information without being, heavily criticized or bashed. I get that.
I'm not criticizing you. I love you. It's the separatists who are saying it.
No. I know that. I'm not yelling at you. I'm making a point.
You're frustrated.
These guys are such fucking jerks, such asses.
Well, I frequent all the forums, Spencer. I have to report back to you on what was said. And that's my duty to report back to you. Am I correct?
I mean, I read some of it. I read some of the stuff today on our forum. It didn't seem that terrible to me. I don't know what's happening on the other forums. I bet I don't know the forums, Spencer. I don't have the time to read the other forums, frankly. And if I'm going to read a forum, I'm going to read my forum. But I understand why people question things. What I don't get is why people insult these doctors when these doctors fucking take the time to provide us with this information. In any other culture, in any other world of medicine, this would not happen. We would not be... Oh, I'm getting a call. Let's see who this is. I would not be privy...
Your cell phone? Let me continue while Spencer's on the cell phone. Tracy, I'll try to get to your question.
I would not be privy to any of this. We would not be privy to any of this information on... just to let you know, my sister-in-law is about to have a baby. So it's very possible that was them, and I just hung up on them.
So why don't you get back to that call, and I'll continue on while you take the call. How's that sound?
It's okay. It's okay.
Spencer, I really think
we can find out 3 minutes later.
You should turn your cell phone off on the air, because that's, most reporters like yourself.
Well, this isn't my cell phone. This is my actual home phone. The reason I have it on is because this person's going to have a kid.
Okay. Well, you don't explain to me. I thought your production staff would turn it off. Well,
my production staff is me. This is my production staff. I run the entire operation, which is pretty unusual, to tell you the truth, and it's a pretty big job, but it's all up to me, Joe.
Well, I'm sure your beautiful wife, I won't mention her name on the air, helps out.
You know what? She doesn't. Common law does not help out with any of the production or any stuff that has to do with this broadcast. She helps out with other things, but she does not help out with this broadcast. She does not help out with...
What exactly does she help out with?
I'd rather... Oh, you see, everything has a sexual connotation.
Well, you're really into that, Spencer. I had a nice nap, a 4-hour nap, so I'm really wired. Well, the show at 11 p.m. time.
It's not going to happen.
No, let me decide. Tracy wants to answer a question. Let me comment quickly to Dr. Zarian and get to Tracy, and then get the next call. Give me 1 more minute, Spencer, please.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Zarian's interview was great. He's very informative. I'm not criticizing Dr. Zarian. I'm proud of the fact you knew who I was, and I appreciate that, Dr. Zarian, but I believe, my expert opinion, that not that you're holding back something, but due to corporate reasons and due to, corporate, you couldn't give all the corporate news out to tip off the competition.
And you know what? And why? And exactly, why should he have to? If that's true, if what you're saying is true, why should he have to? Why should these assholes expect him to, these guys to completely tip their cards? They're kind enough to, grant me interviews, to come on here and try to give as much information to you guys before the mainstream press has it, before anybody has this information, and they still get, bashed for it. I don't understand it. It makes no sense for me. A couple of smart guys in the message forums made that point. It's an obvious point to anyone who's reasonable or rational, but it doesn't, to some of these guys who are on the message forums, it just doesn't fucking compute. Why go on there and bash them? These guys are working towards a cure. If you're not happy with what they have to say, then don't say anything. That's it. You don't need to bash people. Go ahead.
No, it's obvious he was bound, by corporate, protocol not to say certain things. Am I correct in that observation, Spencer?
I don't know if it's obvious or what, but even if that's the case, that's it. That's what he had to do. He was kind enough to grant me the interview, to come on the program, to be a friend to the Bald Truth, and to address everyone out there with their concerns. And he did it to the best of his ability. And I admire him for that. And there are other guys out there that won't even come on the show because they didn't want to deal with the bullshit.
Like Kenny Oshemik.
That's a good example. What about Kosteralis?
Bill will be attacked by the suffrage, you know that.
You don't think that if it was any other circumstances, Kosteralis would come on my show? Of course. But he knows the bullshit that goes on. So all you guys are just, whatever. At this point, it's less work for me. What do I give a shit? It's less work for me.
I think Dr. Zarian was great, and I want to say thanks to the millions of people listening to the show right now. We appreciate you, Spencer, and appreciate the fact you had him on. That's
Well, I appreciate that, Joe. Now I'm going to take another call.
Can I just ask Trace a quick question because she's really nervous about this.
Yeah.
She might freak out.
Yeah.
May I take 30 seconds?
Take 30 seconds.
Tracy, Allergan will be announcing results of Phase 2 any day now. They're going to Phase 3. The bottom line is Latisse, Bimatoprost, the active ingredient, does work. It's a much stronger version. To what extent, we don't know yet. Don't listen to the so-called experts in the other forums, including the Bald Truth, because no.com, because no one knows how much hair Bimatoprost grows, except David Bicott, who's the chief CEO of Allergan. He knows. And let me just say this one amendment. Allergan has set up shop in Bridgewater, New Jersey, employing 400 more people. Put the pieces together, Tracy.
All right, Joe. Thanks for that, man. I want to put you on hold.
Thank you, Spencer.
Okay. You got it. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. What can I do for you, sir? Who's this and where are you calling from?
Ralph from New York.
Hey, Ralph. What's going on?
Nothing much. I actually just started listening to your channel and stuff.
Oh, good. Well, welcome.
And I was having hair loss since I was 21, and I'm 25 now.
Okay.
And I saw a couple of doctors because I was thinking about doing a procedure or something.
Well, let's back up. You're in New York. Okay. You saw a couple of doctors. You're considering hair transplantation. You've been balding for 4 years. How far has your hair loss progressed?
Well, from when I was 19, I was losing a lot of it, on the top area around my hairline.
Yeah.
So the frontal area. And after I hit 24, it kind of stopped.
How does it look right now?
So right now, it's sort of it's if I cut it very short, it shows that it's very thin in the front, but then on the sides and towards the back, it's like still full.
Okay. All right. And you said you went to check out a couple of doctors. What did the doctors tell you?
Well, some of the doctors that I saw, they said that for a person like me that is still young, that I should have that I should get out like on Propecia or something and try that for a couple of months, and that if I still wanted to do something, that I should try doing like an FUT or something.
Let me ask you this:
something that is still bothering me.
Do you remember the names of the doctors that you went to see?
Yeah, I saw one here in New York, Feller.
Okay.
I seen also Rahal, and someone else, I forgot his name, here from New York.
Okay, so did you basically, you are obviously, you just started to listen to the program, but are you part of the Bald Truth Talk forums yet?
I've been following and looking up a little bit and just reading up.
Okay, because you went to at least two. I mean, the two doctors you mentioned are both excellent surgeons, so they're both recommended by, excuse me, this show and the IHRS and the American Hair Loss Association. So the fact that you got that advice is, I mean, it makes sense. The thing is, being as young as you are, you have to understand. Sorry, I'm choking here. You have to understand that hair loss is a progressive issue. And if you don't take medication to slow the progression or stop the progression, going in for surgical hair restoration could be a much more difficult process. Now, I'm not saying you have to take medication, but I think that for a doctor to suggest trying Propecia, it's pretty reasonable, especially since, just to give you a little background on me, if you don't know, I've been on the drug for almost 20 years and have had really good success. And a lot of guys are out there like me who've had good success. And I used to advise people to, before they even considered having a hair transplant, to get on finasteride. I still advise people to do the same, even though I'm not a physician. However, it's important to know that, there is a potential for adverse side effects. And as long as you are well-versed and understand what the potential is, and you're willing to take that risk, which at least clinically is very small and very rare, then I personally think it's your best bet.
Yeah, I've been on it for like a month or so, and I haven't had any side effects or anything.
Oh, good. That's great. Then, in my view, and I'm not a physician, in my view, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, and I also I saw like an episode from you from the past. I've been on YouTube to watch some of your episodes.
Okay, good.
And one of them you recommended first shave your head and see if you like it, if you can live with it, if it bothers you, and then if you still have problems, then like if you're not happy, then seek help or something.
Right.
And I actually did that. I shaved my head first just to see if I liked it, but the first few weeks it felt different. So I gave myself some time to see if I got used to it, but a month went by and I still wasn't really happy with it.
What about your friends and family? How did they react to you when you shaved your head? Did they what was their response?
Well, it's funny because everybody starts asking, "What happened to you? Why did you shave your head? Is anything wrong with you?"
Yeah, that's not an atypical response. I could see that.
Yeah, but that doesn't really bother me because I usually always have my hair out. I never cut it.
Now let me ask you, what's your ethnic background? Are you dark skinned? Are you Hispanic?
Hispanic.
Okay. Are you Puerto Rican or Dominican? You're from New York.
I'm both from New York, half and half.
So you're half Dominican, half Puerto Rican. So you're half dark skin. So that is a plus in your situation. So that actually is beneficial, especially if you want to keep your hair very short or if you want to shave your head. You have a much better chance of looking good with darker skin. So that's good. Also, if you do decide to get some sort of work done, I guess since you have Dominican in you, there's a possibility you have like Afrocentric hair characteristics. I don't know.
Well, my hair is like very. It's not like. How can I say? It's just regular hair. It's not. I know you're probably talking about when it's rougher.
Yeah, is it like kind of like more Caucasian type of hair, or is it more? Does it have kind of like a curlier look to it?
No, it's not curly at all. It's more straight.
All right. Well, that's that's interesting. So, I mean, being that you're dark skinned, you're probably dark hair. Even as a hair transplant candidate, you make a pretty good candidate if you have the right donor density and if it's something that you really want to do. I don't know, man, but you're young, bro. You're young. I mean, this is the decision that will affect you for the rest of your life. I usually go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So there's also like a lot of things, like so much information online, and I read stuff on forums that say that if you do if you do like a strip, that the strip is the best thing to do first because it will give you more grafts for later on. And then other people say that if you do FUE, that it doesn't matter if you do which one or the other, that you're still going to get the same amount of.
I personally disagree with the latter statement. I think that whoever's claiming that you can get the exact same amount of grafts with a FUE or strip is probably an FUE only clinic. And I do not believe that that's the case. However, you also have to think about the fact that if you decide to have a strip procedure, you are relegated to never being able to shave your head very close without showing that strip. Now, interesting story. I was in a supermarket yesterday with Common Law, my wife, and we saw a young guy, probably about 30, that's young to me, with a shaved head, down to stubble with a very obvious strip scar in the back. And I was watching this guy. I was watching how he's interacting with people. He seemed very confident. He seemed very, just together. And I guess he didn't have a great transplant. Didn't work well for him, so he decided to shave his head. Even with that strip scar, in my view, I probably was one of the few people, in Common Law who really knew what that was. It kind of looked like maybe he had at some point been in a little bit of an accident or whatever it is. It really didn't look that bad because the scar was pretty good. It was obvious to me what it was. So this is a guy who had a strip, shaved his head down, and lived his life, and he's probably would have preferred not to have had that strip, but it doesn't look that bad. If you can deal with something like that, if the worst case scenario is you have to shave your head down, then you know what? I mean, maybe FUT is a possibility. But if you can't deal with that, then frankly, you shouldn't have a strip, because it's always possible that you're going to be unhappy in the end with the hair transplant, or that you're going to, as you get older, you're going to be like, you know what, I want to wear my hair very close. Once you're cut, bro. That's it. You can't go back.
Yeah.
But I do believe, and there's doctors out there and patients out there that will disagree with me, but they are incorrect in my view, that you do get the most bang for your buck, so to speak, with an initial strip. You will never get 100% of the sweet spot in the occipital region of your scalp with FUE. You can take out 100% of those grafts, close that area, and even though you are slightly changing the integrity of your scalp, you can get all those grafts out, and you cannot do that with FUE. There are doctors out there that claim that you can. I call bullshit. That's just not the case.
Okay.
So, to me, I'm glad you're doing your research, but if there's doctors out there that say, you know what, go on Propecia for a while, you're already on it, see how you do, I would wait. Just keep researching, keep reading, keep listening to the show, keep calling us. If you have the urge to go in and have an operation, call me first, and maybe I could talk you out of it, because I really think that while I promote hair transplantation as a great procedure that could really be life-changing, I still believe it's a person's last resort when it comes to hair loss. And if you can continue to live your life, and maybe when you're 25 or 26, you're going to change your mind, if I can be part of that, I think in the end you're only going to be better off, and I'm more than willing to help you out.
I'm actually 25 now, too. I'm 25 right now.
Yeah, I mean, in a year from now, you may totally change your mind. You may say, shit, you know what? I don't want a hair transplant. So give Propecia a try. See how you do. You've already shaved your head. Wear your hair close. I mean, how is it affecting your life? Are you socially active? Do you have a girlfriend? What's going on?
Well, I have a girlfriend and everything. It's just that, you're so used to having your hair for so many years, and then to start losing it like that, it starts bothering you, and little by little starts affecting.
What do you think? Why do you think I do what I do? I was so fucked up over it at your age, so I totally get it. But I just don't like people jumping into surgery. I really don't, because as we get older, our priorities change, and your looks are going to change too. You may end up feeling more comfortable with less hair than you did, than you do now, and you may just say, "Shit, why was I even thinking about that?" Or you may wait 6 months to a year and say, "Okay, you know what? I'm ready for a hair transplant. Now's the time." But I just wouldn't jump into it. That's all I'm telling you. All right, bro?
Yeah, thank you. Can I ask something else too?
Yeah.
They talk a lot about how I read a lot on forums. So a lot of people complain about how FUT causes them, like their head is never the same. Like they feel tightness a year after their procedure is done. And I was wondering if that's case by case because of the doctor they go to, or it's something that maybe is just mentally.
I think it's
certain. Thought about it.
I think it's definitely. I mean, it's case by case, not just depending on the doctor, but depending on the patient. Everybody is different. Everyone has a different biological makeup. Everybody heals differently. Once you are cut in any type of surgery, whatever cosmetic surgery it is, whether it's a facelift and they're cutting around your hairline over here, around the side of your face, or if it's in the back of your scalp, you are cutting nerves. You're cutting nerve endings. So you're going to potentially damage those nerves for the rest of your life. Sometimes those nerves, in most cases, the best case scenario, they all kind of reattach and you start to get feeling back where that incision was. And so you're going to feel normal. In some cases, you will never get that feeling back 100%. In some cases, it'll take 6 months to a year. As far as tightness, it really depends on the integrity of your scalp and how big that strip is. It's possible that someone's going to feel tightness for many months, but eventually you will get used to it, or eventually it will dissipate. And in the best case scenario, there's no tightness and there's no nerve damage. So it doesn't necessarily depend on the surgeon. I think it's a combination of the technique and the way the person heals. You can go to the best surgeon in the world who has consistently great scars, and you can be the one guy that feels like they're crippled and that they're living with pain for the rest of their lives. It's an operation like anything else.
Yeah, that's the thing that scares me the most too.
And you know what? You're right to be scared. I mean, it's a reasonable thing to be scared, but we take calculated risks. When someone goes in and gets a nose job, they are putting their appearance and their health in the hands of a physician. No matter how skilled they are, it is possible that it's going to go wrong. This is elective surgery. There's a difference when you choose to have surgery as opposed to when you need to have surgery. When you need to have surgery, the calculated risks are kind of like, okay, well, this is going to save my life, so I understand the risks. And I may not, come out the way that I want, or, it may save my life and I'm going to have pain for the rest of my life. But that is something that people accept. When it comes to cosmetic surgery, for some reason, I don't understand why this is. People expect everything to go 100% correctly. And if it doesn't, if your biological makeup doesn't allow you to heal the way you like to heal, they automatically blame the doctor, or they automatically blame the type of procedure, when it might not have anything to do with the doctor doing anything wrong. It's just the nature of surgery. There's a risk every time you take a scalpel and cut your skin. And that's what people have to understand. That's why I say, surgery it's marketed as a simple surgery. While it is technically a relatively simple surgery, I mean, it's surgery, man. You're cut. You're basically, your body is being cut open. I mean, that's just the way that it is. And the same goes with FUE, in my view. As non-invasive as FUE is, and as non-invasive as FUE is marketed, you are still scoring the skin. There's always a possibility of infection or some sort of complication.
But FUT is still more invasive, though, than FUE.
Absolutely. FUT, they're cutting a strip of scalp out of your head They're suturing your scalp together, and of course, it's more invasive. But it's no more invasive than a minimally invasive facelift. You know what I mean? It's just another form of cosmetic surgery. So that's what people have to understand. The forums, there's a lot of great information out there, but there's a lot of guys that are really perpetuating some really scary misinformation. As long as you know what you're getting involved in, even if there's a complication, at least you know before you walk through those doors and before you sit in that chair that these are possibilities. But dude, you're 24 years old, 25 years old. I tell people, wait till at least 30 to have a hair transplant. They don't listen to me, but that's my advice.
Because time keeps going by and you don't want to wait too long.
You know what? When you're 30 years old, you're going to realize how young 30 is. So, if you have a girlfriend, you're living your life, try to live your life and stay on medical treatment. See how you do before you have surgery. And believe me, I make money from my organization of hair transplant doctors. Sometimes I get these doctors, they contact me and they're like, what are you talking about? Why do you always say that surgery is a last resort? Because my job is not to sell surgery. My job is to guide you guys in the safest direction possible. So I wish you the best of luck, man.
All right. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care.
Bye.
888-659-3727. Joe.
Yes, Spencer. A brief comment, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Speaking of the message forums, have you noticed the way a major one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the country, Allergan, totally ignores the so-called hair loss experts on the forums?
Of course they do.
Disregard them like they're ants.
Well, why would any legitimate company spend the time to battle it out with, these guys on a message forum? You know who takes the time to do that? In my view, the guys that really might not be, providing a legitimate product. That's how I feel about it.
Right, you're definitely right. I want to say again, I want to defend you and Dr. Zarian again. The attacks on Dr. Zarian was definitely unwarranted in my expert
Do you remember that doctor out of Mexico that was claiming that he was doing hair multiplication?
Yes, Dr. Bazan.
Right. Remember what was happening on that site, and it was just the same shit. And eventually, this guy was arrested, allegedly. And he was basically put out of business, and he had all kinds of issues.
Well, you were one of the first people to expose him, Spencer. I remember that approximately, I think, like 12 years ago. You're the first person to really expose him. Because some people really thought he was legitimate. Do you remember that?
It's the same thing. The guys that are out there pandering to the message forums, the guys that are out there that are just, fighting with posters on message forums, it's that's the biggest red flag that there is, especially when they're making crazy claims. You guys have to understand that. I've been around forever. I started in this business as a young man, younger than most of you guys. I was published by the age of 31. What I've been doing since a young person. You learn a lot as when you're involved in an industry for a very long time. And believe me, I am not in a position where I need to continue to worry about whether or not my organization or the doctors are getting patients. My goal is, if something like hair multiplication, whether it's Cohen Go or whoever's out there, if this is happening, I want to see it come to fruition. I have no fear of losing any income if any of these technologies are actually working. No fear at all. I would make a lot more money. And even if for some reason I lost money, it doesn't affect me in my life. It doesn't affect my life at this point. I have been doing this for a very long time. I've been very, very fortunate in that aspect of my life. So to me, my goal is to stick around until there's a cure.
Spencer, it's pretty obvious to any intelligent person that, like Dr. Cole is stating, if we do have hair multiplication, I know you don't make a lot of money, but whatever you make is your business. Your income will be quadrupled because everyone will be in a chair knowing they can really get a full head of hair if there was unlimited donor area.
That's correct.
You should be the biggest proponent of unlimited donor area in the world.
That's absolutely right. And, and 2541 asks, is it always about money? Unfortunately, it is, dude. It's all about money. The only reason these guys are trying to find this cure is for money. That's the way that the world works. It's always about the money. And if you are earning money and you're positioned to earn money, then you're in position to help more people. No matter what industry that you're involved in. That's just the way of the world.
Well, Spurs, I'm going to have a castigate you. Just give me 30 seconds. You know why? It's not always about the money. If it was, you would have been a very wealthy man years ago, which you could have sold out to the dark side. And you didn't do that.
I appreciate you saying that. But what this guy is saying is it always about the money for these companies? And of course that it is. And I guess some of the naysayers out there think it's about the money for me. And no,
it's not.
Well, I appreciate that, but I have to laugh about that. There's a guy that listens to the show every week that always says, well, it's not a big deal. I don't know why. These guys are all they care about is the money, and all they care about is, buying nice, shiny things, and that doesn't mean anything in life. Believe me, I feel the exact same way. And there's no one in this chat room or online or anyone that listens to this program, in my view, that has turned down more money than I have over the years. And that's just that's the God's honest truth.
You could have been a very wealthy man today had you endorsed Avacor, had you endorsed Kevis, countless other products. You offer contracts. I know that for a fact. You're such an honest man. You declined the money. That's why it's always about money. You could have been very wealthy today, but you said no. Your job is to tell the truth. And that's what you do, Spencer. You're a rare breed, man. There's no one who would turn down the money like you did, my friend.
Well, on that note, and I appreciate that sentiment, Joe. I really do.
It's true. It's a fact. I know. I've been with you 14 years. I know it for a fact.
Well, I know. There are people out there that they really don't think that way, and they don't, they're just insulting and just horrible things that they say online. It's just, it's amazing to me sometimes. And actually, it's stupid. It really is. I mean, they're only hurting themselves.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Oh, by the way, have Kevis give me a call. I'll endorse that product. I'll use a few bucks.
All right, I'll let him call you. Listen, guys, I gotta go. It's 4 minutes after the hour. Joe from Staten Island. I'm so glad that you called in and everything's okay. I was worried about you.
And I apologize to your listeners, Spencer, but I had a very exhausting day. I was in a psychotic state. I was in dreamland. I want to thank Vincent on the air publicly. The millions of viewers for waking me up.
Oh, Vincent,
I apologize, Spencer.
Vincent, I want to thank you too. Joe, thanks so much. We will be here same time, same place next week. Again, 2 weeks from now, we'll be doing a UK show. Also, you'll be able to hear it, in real time in Europe. We'll be providing a UK direct phone number into my studio. So all of you guys in the UK who are Bald Truth fans, and hopefully, our new Bald Truth fans will have the opportunity to call in, speak to experts, speak to us, and be a part of the Bald Truth community. Website's thebaldtruth.com. And of course, if you are considering surgical hair restoration, guys, check out ihrs.org, the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, an organization that I founded more than 11 years ago. We truly believe that this is one of your most safe places when considering choosing a hair transplant surgeon. Of course, baldtruthtalk.com, the message forum. If you want to interact with other hair loss sufferers, join baldtruthtalk.com. Listen, we take our time as far as approving membership because we have so many guys who are trying to get in. So if it takes a few days before you're approved, don't freak out. All right? We're just going to check things out and make sure that you're not a spammer, and then we'll let you into the site. That's baldtruthtalk.com. Until next time, I want you to be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you.